Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I am delighted. I can't wait to see what we get to create in this conversation today. Audree Grubesic. She is the owner of a Modular Sure Site, an off-site construction company, which you don't see that very often, okay? But she has over 20 years of experience excelling in marketing, sales, new business development, and home building. So welcome.
Thank you, Teri. This is super exciting, and I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you.
Yes. And, we met through another group of just incredible women. And we got to spend some time, in the last, few months, getting to know each other. And I'm just like, I love her. Like, she is fantastic. And so you have created a very successful business and you're continuing to grow and expand it. But one of the things that I love hearing about your story is that not only have you grown a successful business, but it's something that you could actually up and choose to move to a different state, and it's flawlessly moving to another state. So it's just powerful. But for folks that don't know you yet, bring us up to speed how you got to be where you're at today.
So my whole journey has been, I would say the majority of my background has been in marketing and sales and media. When I got out of college, I worked in Chicago as a TV engineer for about 11 years, and then moved into all different variables of marketing, whether it's direct response, my media agency, TV, radio, print, billboards, you name it, type of advertising. And I've learned along the way that it's always comes back down to, having your clients, taking care of people, educating them, and kind of expanding to be of service. And from all that experience, I worked for a magazine and I started meeting builders that were doing custom homes. And I had a great opportunity to work for one when I was in Colorado Springs specifically. And I learned a tremendous amount. We did branding and we did sales strategies. And then they asked me to do sales for them. And I had a really great amount of time to work with clients and bring some success to that building. And I just always felt like I was going to be in real estate, and I loved it. And I love that we can build things and people can, have this experience of having a home and enjoying that home. And from that experience, I started looking at other processes of construction. And one in particular is called modular construction, which basically is building a house or a building in a factory in an enclosed environment. They are finished boxes. So your doors, your windows, your floors, your trim, everything is completely finished in the box. And then those boxes actually get shipped to the location. They get assembled on site. So about 4.5 years ago, I started my own building company called Modular Sure Site. And that's kind of where we are present day.
That's fantastic. And for folks you're questioning this, it's like, it's still a home. And it just cuts out, I get the sense that it just cuts out more the middleman, right? And it allows that cost savings gets sent over to the home buyer, correct?
Yeah, and so figure it like, it's basically built under the same construction code, which is the IRC, or International Residential Code, just like a traditional home. The only difference is it's built off-site, right? It's in a factory. So my homes don't have any weather issues. We don't have any rain or mold or snow in our homes. The efficiencies, my house actually would get built in a week in a factory, where on site it could take up to 4 to 8 months. It just depends.
Yes. my
you can.
neighbors, I have my neighbors who are building a home right now. And I think their move-in date was supposed to be June, and now it's September. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, and that's
a
kind of
lot of
industry
variables that
yes,
plays with
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
COVID has taken over. I think that, since COVID, and working in our homes, and people are now becoming more proficient about what type of home they want, how it's built. And so my business in particular has quadrupled in size. I particularly now, after doing my own projects and building my own homes, I have actually shifted my company into consulting. So now I do consulting and construction services for all the pre-construction that happens on a residential or a commercial project, building teams. And I have a division in Colorado. And then I just recently moved to Savannah, Georgia, and I'm hoping to open up the East Coast to be able to have some more experiences and opportunity with developers and doing new projects, maybe even in hospitality.
Wonderful. So I love having the conversation with entrepreneurs that are these incredible, powerful, dynamic women. What has been some of your biggest challenges that you've had to overcome to get to where you're at today? Because as we all know, entrepreneurship is this process. So what has been some of your biggest challenges to overcome on your journey?
Just knowing myself, right? And Terry, you and I have talked about it. My spiritual practice has definitely has helped me, has heightened my awareness. About 4 years ago, I decided to dedicate every morning to meditate for about 5 minutes. That process has helped me get center. It helps me to feel more powerful in my own shoes. I'm in a hugely male-dominated area. Typically on teams, I'm the only female, and we communicate differently, we build community differently. So it was very hard to be in that space and keep my feminine power within me. When you're talking and you're in that masculine energy all the time, I'm grateful for it. I've learned a tremendous amount, but we just do things differently. And so to blend both of those has been really a hard challenge. And to knowing that, as all entrepreneurs, we put ourselves in these buckets like, oh my gosh, I can't do this because I don't know enough. Well, in construction, there's 200,000 pieces that go into a house. That's just the house. That's not insurance, contractors, running your business, all those pieces.
Yeah.
So you really have to take that step forward and know that you can do it. So it's been a big challenge. It's a challenge when you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. There's like 10 women in offsite construction that I know of in executive positions
Wow.
nationwide. So you
Yeah.
can tell, like, it's a growing industry. I love having more women in it, but I really think having that practice, knowing that I have my higher self and I can actually hold that space, it makes a huge difference in how I live and work in my life.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, not only so you're in a mostly male dominated industry, which has its own challenges. I've had some other ladies on here that have shared similar experiences of like, it's a challenge to be able to hold your space and bring value to the table without, all the other hoops that you have to jump through to be able to create that balance. But I think even with just entrepreneurship in general, because I find that I'm going to say a pretty bold statement here that a lot of successful entrepreneurs have been brought up in a way in which you have to be kind of bring that kind of male energy kind of to the forefront to be successful, to have a seat at the table, to know that you have worth, to know that you have power. And so I think sometimes, and myself included, because I think sometimes type A folks, and I'm like a triple A, and you're like one of those triple A's too, which is like sometimes that brings that more of that male energy versus the female energy. And so I think in general, when we're talking about high powered, high achieving women, we get stuff done. And I think some of that energy is, it's a powerful energy. And so sometimes it's always like, it's balancing that also with more of the feminine energy, and it is, and I don't think I've mastered it yet. How have you been able to kind of combine those, and what are some of the things that you've done?
I'm still in that transition too. I'm really trying to figure out, I feel like I have the balance in my life, personally. In my business, it's a big transition. I don't feel like I've mastered it, but I definitely see myself being softer. Before all of this, I did see myself being more strong and, in a sense of I don't want to say like bossiness, but just not being of my own character, right? I felt like I was reflecting what they were doing and maybe not in the most positive way. So I don't think I think women, and I read all these self-help books. I read all these amazing stories about women, and I think it's all about knowing who we are, holding our power and saying, no, this is how we would like to see it done. We'll negotiate how that works, but I'm going to still move forward in my lane, right? and
Yeah.
not and not bow down to being like, I am not of value or honor to accept these things. And I think that's the difference, right? Yes, I want the 6-figure income for this particular project because I deserve that, just like every other person. But the other interesting things about construction that is cool is that both men and women get paid about the same amount of money. So that's kind of a really cool thing that women can start entertaining by being in that space or that industry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful. So tell me, what is something that you're continuing to work on with yourself? Because I know you personally, so I know, we're always on this personal journey and this personal, spiritual journey. What are things that you're, working on currently?
So what I'm working on right now is kind of what's my next pivot, right? I love being in construction. I love being in this consulting realm. I'm trying to find other women that are doing it even better and kind of watching how they're doing. The other thing that I'm really trying to do is really be more intentional. I'm really trying to be more from a loving heart when I see things, and expanding in that space and trying to balance both of those, which is really difficult. So I'm continuing to work on that. And then I also have a media company called offsitedirt.com. It's a content management company. We work with offsite construction solutions from all over the world. So that's kind of my next endeavor, to really build that platform and have these conversations and letting people know that there's another form of construction out there for them to do their projects.
Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. So I gotta know. So I know a little birdie told me, no, no, you told me, that you just got back from Peru. And
Yes.
just an incredible trip that I've heard. So tell me, what was some of the big takeaways from that trip for you?
You know what the biggest takeaway for me was, really disconnecting from all of my electrical devices. That's the first time in probably 25 years that I didn't answer an email, right?
Wow.
I didn't pick up the phone to talk to client. My phone was blowing up. I've told all my clients before leaving that I wasn't gonna answer my phone, and I was so proud of myself not to do that and to give myself space. Really amazing people there. It was just really dynamic for me to have that breathing space and to allow myself just to be and to experience fully, to do meditation, to have great hiking areas, amazing, just in an environment of love. It was so embracing and the people were so welcoming. By far, if you haven't gone, I would 100% say you have to make the trip because it's life altering. I truly feel more calm, more centered. I truly feel like that trip has changed me. When you can start feeling that centeredness, when you can start feeling that connection to another place, just the nature and, as they call it, Pachamama, which is Mother Earth, and really feeling that vibration of love and energy that is completely different than our America. Because our America, being here, it's constant movement, it's constant. What am I doing next? What am I going to achieve? Where am I going? What's this? What's that? And there, it's this vibe of just being, just having that mind space and that understanding of who you are and being able to settle in that, it's transcending. As
Yeah.
crazy as it sounds,
Well, and I
it's
think we
trans.
can incorporate that here, right? And that's about giving us our space. That's about being in nature. That's, I think so many times, and what I was going to say earlier was, the fact that you disconnected to technology, right? I think I do believe, as entrepreneurs, as moms, any hat that you wear, I think that we have become a society that's addicted to technology, that's addicted to being always connected, always on, always, for lack of better words, is like, the fear of missing out, like we having to always be, with this device, right? And I think sometimes if we just, if we step back, one of the things that I did, not too long ago, I watched this fantastic documentary, and it was so game changing for me that I was like, okay, I am not going to, because before I used to have my cell phone as my alarm clock.
Right.
And I think a lot of people do. And so what I would do is I would often take that phone into bed with me, and I would, be checking stuff, looking up stuff, like whatever it was. And I just made the conscious choice that this is not going to be in the room with us anymore. And so now I put it in a different room, and I bought myself an alarm clock because I was like, why do I have this in my room? And I'm like, oh, I'm using it as an alarm clock. So I went out and I bought one of those old school alarm clocks that, like, I call it the shake awake, because it just like shakes you out of bed because it's so stinking loud. And I had to modify it because it was a little too a little too disarming for me in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I actually had to like modify the ringer. It's the ones that have like the bells on top, and then it has like the metal thing. It's like, ah! I mean, seriously, like I had to, like, my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm modifying it. So now it's still there, but it's not as loud. But I had to, like, so what is it that you can disconnect from, and just giving yourself permission to, even like when you go out to dinner, like when you're out to dinner, like I keep my phone turned either on silent or on vibrate, and I put it in my purse. I do not get it out, because as soon as I take out my phone, I think that is a direct message to you saying, you know what, I still you're not important to me. I got to find out what am I missing, or what am I, whatever that might be. If you have kids, a little different story, but for the most part, it's like, like, how do we disconnect from that? Because I think that has an energy all on its own.
Yeah.
That is all consuming, and it pulls from our energy. So I love the fact that you were able to truly disconnect. And
then
be
all of a sudden
without.
you start enjoying things, and you start noticing things different, right? And you start speaking in a different tone. It changes your whole world. It really does. And the people you're sitting across from, you're actually engaged in them. You're not thinking about what their answer is. You're listening.
Yeah.
It's a whole different, and I know it sounds so simple, but we don't do it. Right?
Yeah. And sometimes we just, yes, it is a simple thing, right? And I think so often we tell ourselves we're going to do it, and we're like, yeah, that's a great idea, but we don't. We find another excuse, we find another email, we find another text, we found another unwritten whatever, something that has become, it's annoying to my neighbors and my family and my friends. I'll be honest, like it is the Teri Cardula annoyance that I do on the weekends. Like I am really bad about my phone. I will unconsciously lose it. I will forget to charge it. I leave it places. I don't check it, because I'm with my family. I'm in the present moment with whatever I'm doing. And so like people will be like, oh my gosh, you can't get a hold of her. And so I have now people that will, if they can't get a hold of me, they call my husband. So I've trained everyone. So I have like a personal assistant, and they're like, I can't, I've left her 4 messages. I've left her. And I'm like, and she's like, well, when did you leave it? And she's like, well, it's kind of her weekend. Like she doesn't like, so I try to, like, I would say I probably 90% disconnect, not all the way disconnect, but
Right, but
it
don't
is.
you feel like going into your week, then you're like, I had
like,
time for myself.
yeah.
It's we don't have to feel selfish about it. It's actually instinctual. Like we need it.
Okay, I just want everyone to hear this, that Audree said it was not selfish that I do this. So sorry, everyone.
Have them call me, Terry. I'll take care of them for you.
But I get it, and it's just a boundary that I've set for myself, that it's like I don't want to be on 24/7.
Right,
I
right.
want to be present. I want to be present in the moment, and during the week I don't feel like I necessarily get that, because I
Sure.
am, juggling a lot of different things. I am very cautious of that.
Of
But on the weekends it's like, this is my time, like, on my days off, like this is my
course.
time. So but I think that's so important. So I think the message here is, giving yourself if you let's disconnect from technology. Or, what I've seen too is that, and we're guilty, our family has been guilty of it as well. Like, my daughter will be downstairs watching TV. My husband will be on his cell phone. My daughter will be on a tablet. I'll be hanging out, or, on a phone or something. And I'm like, okay, and I'll look around like, guys, like, okay, we're choosing one device. We're doing it together. Like, and oftentimes
Yes,
we are
yes.
not the type to like sit down and watch TV or anything. Like, we're always like out
Yep.
and about, but as it comes like the fall, and we come more indoors versus outdoors, right?
Yeah.
But taking moments to like disconnect, but also, like, as you said, like, I think we're always in this spiritual, for folks that are open to it or have received the message to start to dig deeper, within, and look at, are there other ways in which I can tap back into, my pure positive, power, and really get back in touch with that? Because when we do, I mean, it can be such a game changer, and it has a ripple effect, and I believe it has a direct impact on our business, on our relationships, on our conversations, on everything that we're doing to really connect again.
I completely agree with you. And being in construction, or even in your business, there are a lot of people that are constantly asking you for things, and you're constantly, moving and trying to make solutions, and you're in a constant, um, it's like commotion all the time, right? Constant busyness. And until I really stopped and did that, I really didn't realize how much I was in that space and being so scattered, and how
Mhm.
unhealthy it was for me, because I wasn't concentrating, right? And I'm working on 10 different developments right now. I couldn't keep any of them straight. There was just too much.
Yeah,
And once we start unplugging and doing that, it's amazing how just quieting your mind, how much that really allows us to have more focus. And so it is a
agreed.
big
Yeah.
deal. It's a big deal. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes, and my awareness came when I was working with this holistic doctor a few years ago, and she had taken a look at, my whole system and body and stuff. She's like, your adrenals, like, is really bad. And I'm like, what? And she's like, so I had to like repair, which just means like I was in this fight, flight, or freeze for so long. And I didn't even think about it, because I'm like, oh, my message had always been like, I play hard, work hard, right? But in reality is that I was putting my body, I was pushing my body to where it was creating some internal, you know, I don't want to say
Yeah,
damage, but like
stress. There's
internal,
stress.
having an
Yeah.
internal impact on my body. And I was like, okay, it's time to like revisit this. And how do I slow myself down? And, again, if we don't have our health, and we don't have anything else. So
We
we got
don't.
to put the focus back on ourselves, and taking care of the shell that we were gifted with in this lifetime is like taking care of this body.
Absolutely. And to know also, again, I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest learning thing for me was because of the way I was raised, where you take care of everybody. You put everybody before you. You do all these things to help others, which being of service for others is really truly an honor. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. But we also have to remember that we have to fill our own cup first. And
Yeah.
it's okay, right? Because as women, we don't think we're supposed to do that because we've been taught otherwise. So if there's one thing that I can express to any, and it doesn't have to just mean females, it's males too, it's all of us all together. But it's really, we really do have to take care of ourselves, because if we take care of ourselves first, it's just like the airplane. We put our oxygen on first, we help the person next to us, everything flows in the right way. And there's a big deal, especially with longevity, and especially with how the world is now with COVID and how much stress. Like, I think the mothers that have 5 children at home and working a full-time job and making all of that work, I am amazed that people can do it.
Agreed.
So if you can go for a walk outside for 10 minutes, or you can find small little ways like in the morning, just turning everything off and breathing for 5 minutes, those little things add up and they make us healthier. And I think, it's great to be an entrepreneur. It's great to have these opportunities to do these things and to expand our boundaries. But it's also really important that we stay mindful and healthy.
Yes. What a great way to wrap up this conversation today. So, where can people connect with you if they're interested, or even just like, um, for power partners or for networking? So, where can people connect with you at?
So, LinkedIn, I'm very strong on LinkedIn. My name is Audree Grubesic. It's a very hard one, but my first name is spelled with two E's. It's Audree. And Grubesic is Grubesic. My company and my website is Modular, and then it's Sure Site. So it's Modular, Suresite. Again, not easy, but Teri, I know that if we're supposed to connect with others, we'll be able to connect and find each other.
Absolutely. I'm going to put all her information to make it super easy for you down in the show notes to make it easy for you to find her and to connect.
Perfect.
Audree, thank you so much. It has been such an honor to like get to know you, and I know that this is just the beginning for us, and we're going to have lots of adventures to
I love
come.
it.
So thank you.
I'm in. Thank you too. I appreciate it, Teri. Have a great day.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.